Good evening, everybody. Good evening, everybody at home. This is October 26th, 2023, Mayor and Council Work and Regular Session Meeting at 7:30. Linda, will you please call the meeting to order and read the Open Public Meetings Act, please?
In compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act, the notice requirements have been satisfied. The meeting dates for the year are confirmed at the annual meeting, are posted on the public bulletin board in the municipal building and on the borough website, published in the record within the first 10 days of the new year, and copies are sent to the Ridgewood News and Star Ledger. Notice of this meeting by the October 12, 2023 Sunshine Notice was sent to the record, the Ridgewood News and Star Ledger, and has been posted on the public bulletin board in the municipal building and borough website. Councilwoman Homan.
Here.
Councilwoman Lovasolo.
Here.
Councilman O'Connell.
Here.
Councilman O'Toole.
Here.
Councilman Yacarino.
Here.
Councilman Delavisio.
Here.
Mayor Wilzinski.
Here. Everybody, please stand to salute the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, T. So first we are going to have a presentation, a best practices inventory checklist presentation from our CFO, Allison Altano. Thank you very much for your very first best practices presentation.
Thank you. The best practices inventory is required every year by the state of New Jersey. Its purpose is to assess each municipality's compliance with various laws and evaluate implementation of fiscal and operational best practices. It's also used by the BCA to determine areas that may need attention, which are unscored survey questions. Our answers to the scored questions determine if we will receive our full final aid payment. This year's inventory is as follows. There were 67 questions in total, 48 scored and 19 unscored, which are used for informational purposes only. A score of 29 and greater assures full payment of aid. The borough scored 37.5 points this year, which allows the borough to be getting their full portion of energy tax receipts aid in 2024. The topics with a score of 0 included electrical vehicle charging stations and municipal ordinance and code of ethics. The areas that scored a 0 do not need to be addressed, as we are very compliant with the standard best practices recommended by the BCA.
Yay. Yay, congratulations. Thank you. Thank you also to our Director of Operations, Ron Kistner. I know you helped Allison
jointly worked on
in this state mandated process. All right, so next we have the approval of minutes, October 12th, 2023, combined work and regular session. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second, please.
Second.
Councilwoman Homan.
Yes.
Councilwoman Lovasolo.
Yes.
Councilman O'Connell.
Yes.
Councilman O'Toole.
Yes.
Councilman Yacarino.
Yes.
Councilman Delavisio.
Yes.
Okay, so next we're going to have agenda review. So we have second readings on a couple ordinances. One is our bond ordinance authorizing for various public improvements. This is for the new concession stand as well as the new community center. So we're very happy to get that started. Second ordinance for second reading is an ordinance to the code to help with growing bamboo in the borough. So bamboo is a major issue that we have in New Jersey. So thank you to Joe Delavisio for getting this on. So it'll be second reading for that. And then also second reading for 23-16, which is to amend the code to help with maintenance of some of our downtown establishments, mainly the awnings. Any questions so far? All right. Next, we have our consent agenda. So our consent agenda are matters that are considered routine, so we enact them in one motion. However, I would like to point out a few so we all can see all the great work we've been doing. One is that we are actually advertising to go to bid for our garbage contract. So this is huge. Thank you so much again to Ron Kistner for getting this on the agenda today. So this, as well as a lot of other contracts, are coming up at the end of the year. And as we know, Ron is retiring, and it's very much appreciated that all these are getting done, and he's tying up a lot of loose ends. Next, we are approving paving for Crescent Place turnaround. thanks to everybody that was involved in this. I know this was a long process. So I know the residents of Crescent Place are going to be very, very happy. We have our approval bills. I went over them today. Councilwoman Lovasolo, did you have a chance to check them out as well?
I did.
All right, thank you very much. And also we are going to, here we go.
235.
23-235. A resolution appointing our interim administrative officer. So luckily she's here today. So Allison Altano is going to be our alternate or interim administrative officer for 2 months as she's transitioning into the permanent position in January. So I'm very happy to announce that she decided that she will take this full-time position starting in January. So she's going to be hitting the ground running starting November. Well, she already really has, but starting November 1st, she will actually be official. And I think that's about it for the consent agenda. And now I'm going to open this all up for the public on agenda items only. Does anybody from the public wish to speak on agenda items only? Sure, come on up.
It's on those agenda items. I have something to raise. I just haven't been to these meetings.
Yeah, that's fine. No, first we actually do it on agenda items only, and then at the very end, you can do it on anything you like. Okay, perfect. All right. So now we're going to go back and I know we're doing this different from last time, but we're trying to streamline our process here. So now we're going to actually go back and we're going to vote on everything. So the second reading is the ordinance for second reading that was first read by title on October 12th, ordinance 23-14, the bond ordinance. Does Linda have to read the whole thing? Linda, please read the title.
Yep. Actually, I'm going to read before it. The following ordinance published herewith was first read by title only on October 12, 2023, and posted on the bulletin board of the lobby of the municipal building and borough website. Ordinance 23-14. Bond ordinance to authorize the making of various public improvements in, by, and for Borough of Allendale in the County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, to appropriate the sum of $4,200,000 to pay the cost thereof, to make a down payment or fully fund an appropriation from the Capital Improvement Fund, to authorize the issuance of bonds to finance such appropriation, and to provide for the issuance of bond anticipation notes in anticipation of the issuance of such bonds.
Do we have anybody from the public that would wish to speak on ordinance 23-14? Not seeing anybody. I'd like a motion to approve ordinance 23-14.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Councilwoman Holman,
Yes.
Councilwoman Lovasolo,
Yes.
Councilman O'Connell,
Yes.
Councilman O'Toole,
Yes.
Councilman Yakarino,
Yes.
Councilman Delavatio.
Yes.
Great, thank you. Next, ordinance 23-15. Linda, please read ordinance 23-15.
The following ordinance published herewith was first read by title only on October 12, 2023, and posted on the public bulletin board of the lobby of the municipal building and borough website. Ordinance 23-15. An ordinance to amend and supplement the code of the Borough of Allendale to add to chapter 199 a new 199-14.1 entitled Planting or Growing Bamboo Within the Borough.
Do I have a motion for ordinance 23-15?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
I'm sorry, is anybody from the public wish to speak on ordinance 23-15? Bamboo. Not seeing anyone?
The motion, who was the motion?
The motion was,
Councilman
and then,
Thank you.
Councilwoman Lovasolo.
Councilwoman Holman,
Yes.
Councilwoman Lovasolo,
Yes.
Councilman O'Connell,
Yes.
Councilman O'Toole,
Yes.
Councilman Yakarino,
Yes.
Councilman Delavatio.
Yes.
Thank you. Next is ordinance 23-16. Linda, please read.
The following ordinance published herewith was first read by title only on October 12, 2023, and posted on the bulletin board of the lobby of the municipal building and borough website. Ordinance 23-16, an ordinance to amend, supplement, and revise the Code of the Borough of Allendale, zoning, Chapter 270-33D1.
I'd like to open up to the public, ordinance 23-16. Anybody wish to speak on this ordinance? Not seeing anybody. Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Second, please.
Second, O'Connell.
Councilwoman Councilwoman Holman,
Yes.
Councilwoman Lovasolo,
Yes.
Councilman O'Connell,
Yes.
Councilman O'Toole,
Yes.
Councilman Yakarino,
Yes.
Councilman Delavatio.
Yes.
Okay, and next we have our consent agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved, Holman.
Second.
Councilwoman Homan,
Yes.
Councilwoman Lovasolo,
Yes.
Councilman O'Connell,
Yes.
Councilman O'Toole,
Yes.
Councilman Yakarino,
Yes.
Councilman Delavatio.
Absolutely, yes.
Excellent. Okay, next we have reports. We're going to start with council reports. Councilman O'Connell, your report, please.
Thank you, Mayor. For DPW, everyone saw Ron's, budget report. We're right where we should be, or very, under budget, which is good. The following landscaping projects have been completed. The clock tower entrance to the Orchard Park, area in front of Acme Center on West Allendale, and row of trees at Crestwood Playground. The leaf pickup program is in the second week and it's going so far so good. The seasonal water meters have been removed. And major plumbing improvements to the Borough Hall and upgrade to the library employee bathroom have been completed. That's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Delavatio.
Thank you, Mayor. Last meeting, I reported, we had the land use committee meeting that day. I did the full report. The only real land use issue since then was, Councilwoman Lovasolo and myself. We did meet with a couple of the residents at Crescent Place to kind of go over what we just passed and the consent agenda, that the project is moving forward. And, the enhancement to that road is coming shortly, which they're very excited about. And I want to thank Mr. Kistner for all the hard work that he did in procuring that, and Mr. Breland, borough engineer, doing the designs, and all the time and effort that yourself and other council people have done over the time. I think the residents are going to be very pleased when it's done. And that's really all I have. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much for all your work with that as well. Councilwoman Lovasolo.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, so I think I gave a pretty long report last time. So, this time I'm just going to report out on some things coming up with the library. I am the council liaison to our library board. So in October, the library started new themed story time and imaginative play sessions every Tuesday at 10:30. Coming up on on Thursdays at 10:30, they also have a more traditional story time. On Mondays, at 10:30, they have, on Monday, 10:30, the date. They have a spooky Halloween story time and stuffed animal sleepover at the library. I know Matt's excited about that one. Upcoming adult and family programs include a book talk and signing with local author and wildlife expert Jim Wright on November 2nd. Jim will be discussing his latest book, The Screech Owl Companion. They'll also be featuring an ink brush painting program on November 14th for families. And as far as our finance, admin, and HR committee, we've been really busy. There's been a lot going on. And so I once again want to thank you, Mayor, and thank Councilwoman Homan and Allison. We've had a lot on our plates, and all good, all for the betterment. And Ron, big shoes to fill, but we're hopeful. So thank you. That's it.
Councilwoman Homan.
So, we have kind of a short water report this time.
No way.
What?
Yep.
Nope.
So the West Crescent well, since we last met, has been turned off. And the plan is that the West Crescent well will not be turned back on until there is temporary treatment put in at the West Crescent well. So that is super exciting. And again, just a great reason for thanking the borough of Allendale for voting in favor of having Veolia acquire our system. And in order to facilitate having the temporary treatment put in, there will be vessels that will be delivered to the West Crescent well on October 31st, starting at 7:30 in the morning till 12 noon. So there will be a traffic diversion on that morning, but it will be cleaned up by the time Halloween trick-or-treating starts, which is important. So that's it, Mayor.
Thank you so much.
I'm thrilled.
Councilman O'Toole.
Thank you, Mayor. The Public Safety Committee, you recall, last met right before our last council meeting. So we've not had an official meeting since, but since we last met, We interviewed prospective officers to bring our police force to full complement. We were interviewing officers who already have their police training certificates so that they can pretty much go right out on the road. Police department recently completed a capital upgrade to the facility infrastructure, which required operations to be moved to a neighboring agency. We would like to thank the Ramsey Police who welcomed Allendale staff in there. It was a great test of our designated backup dispatch point, which would be used should an issue render the Allendale Police Station unusable. Coffee with the mayor and the police was a great success. The residents came and met our newest officers and spoke to command staff about various issues around town. Speaking of issues around town, we've installed a speed sign on McIntyre Lane, which will inform motorists of their speed. It also collects data so that the police can review the speeds on the street and see if there's a need for any enforcement in that area. Last Thursday, we held the Gary Letizia Memorial Blood Drive at the firehouse. We collected 29 units of much needed blood. So I'm hopeful that this will become an annual event, and next year we can contribute even more to the ongoing blood shortage. And finally, the police department is preparing for Halloween night. It's important to stress that this night brings a large amount of children to specific areas of town. Vehicles traveling through town are expected to drive carefully and slowly, always expecting young children to be in the roadway. That's all I've got.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Councilman Yakarino.
Thank you,
Your
Mayor.
report.
This week we had an exciting, as I like to call them, field trips. Councilwoman Lovasillo and I went to the concession stand at Crestwood as we start to begin our replacement project on there, of which we completed a very exciting LiDAR scan of the exterior of the structure, in which we're starting to look at renders and different options to come up with both a functional replacement, but also a cost-efficient replacement of the concession stand. We were joined by Rich from the DPW, who is very instrumental in pointing out key aspects of the concession stand and explaining where things need to be with regard to the sewer line, the water line, the propane tanks that were there. So Rich was up there. He was very helpful and contributed a lot to the conversation. So we're really excited to get that project over the next couple months. We'll be sharing more information regarding that. We are also looking at a couple different things. We have one more quote regarding the staff kitchen to finalize. So that I'm hoping will be finalized within the next week. So we definitely have a timeline in motion there to get that project wrapped up. So we're really excited about that. And in addition, we'll have another facilities meeting within the next week, week and a half, to look at more 2024 capital budget requests and things that need attention from the committee. So that's all I have to share. Thank you very much.
Excellent. Thank you very much. So our staff reports, our clerk, Linda Trevino.
Thank you, Mayor. The ballot marketing devices, also known as the voting machines, and scanners were delivered to the voting locations. They're in the back. The firehouse, the council chambers, and the quilt room yesterday for the general election, which is Tuesday, November 7th. The polling pads should come in next week or so. So just preparing for election day. There's also a Bergen County voter instruction video that John Gill shared on the borough website and borough Facebook page. So be sure to check that out. It's in English, Spanish, and Korean. And just a reminder that the November mayor and council meeting date has been changed to November 9th via resolution 23-223. Notice was sent to the newspapers, posted on the borough website and the borough bulletin board. So there will be no meeting on November 16th. And I'd like to thank the mayor and council and administrative officer for that change.
All right, our CFO, Allison.
First, I just want to thank the mayor and council for giving me the opportunity to serve as interim borough administrator. In the last 8 months that I've been employed here as CFO, I've built great relationships with everyone, and I'm looking forward to continuing growing the borough. For finance, I am happy to announce that as of November 1st, the borough will be able to receive electronic payments through our website for cat and dog licenses, compost permits, Oprah requests, and garage sale
What?
permits.
You're holding out on us.
I know.
Holy, that is like
21st century.
We're getting there.
Electronic payments will consist of credit card acceptance or e-check. It will be online only through our website. We're not going to be accepting electronic payments at the counter, but we will have, I think we're designating a laptop, so should residents come in and they're confused with the process, we'll allow them to go through the website and do their payment that way.
When can we expect Apple Pay?
Oh,
All right. Sorry.
The process is gonna be exactly the same as we already have implemented for submitting applications. There's gonna be an additional portal for payment. We will still continue to allow that option if somebody chooses to pay a check or cash in person, so they'll be able to opt for that. Once we become familiar with the new procedures, we plan to accept electronic payments for the building department as well. The tentative date for implementation for that department is likely January to February 2024. That department is just much more cumbersome, and we kind of have to perfect the permits and the process and be familiar with how we're going to be accepting these payments between the building department and finance department prior to initiating. Our tax collector is holding the borough tax sale on December 7th at 10 a.m. in the Borough Hall. And then lastly, we've begun prepping all budget documents. So I can begin analyzing and working with each department on their 2024 budget. This year, we're going to be implementing a 5-year capital request moving forward. It's
Right.
going to allow proper budgeting to ensure we're efficiently utilizing funds towards capital expenditures and capital improvements. This year's budget for 2023 has remained on target, and we're in good place to move into 2024.
Yay.
That is all.
Excellent report. Thank you very,
you.
very much. Director of Operations, Ron Kistner, any reports? Come on up.
State your name and address.
Go into the microphone, Ron.
Stand there or sit down.
First, I want to thank Linda and Kim for assisting me with getting the garbage specifications done. In regards to that, they're also going to be working with me on getting the landscaping specs, the cleaning building specs, and the lawn treatment specs, which are those all outside contracts that we've been using outside vendors for a number of years. In regards to the employee manual, Allison has jumped right in. I was getting ready to get the 2024 one. Employee manual through JIF must be done every 2 years. The 2022 one we completed in January of 2023, which is not, unnormal. But Allison's right on top of it, and I'm very confident that the borough's employee manual per JIF requirements will be done for sometime early 2024. They'll be on schedule with that. In regards to the other bid I'm getting ready, Mr. Wiss's office has been very helpful. We'll be getting the snow bid specs out for 2024. We do have coverage through 2023, and I just changed some of the specs so we have monthly. It'll be a monthly charge, so if we have any big storms, it doesn't drive Allison crazy with crazy numbers for next year's budget. This way, you'll know what the budget for snow removal. We were lucky last year to have a very mild year, and the one storm we did have was still higher than I thought it would be. Could you a couple other, the JIF inspection, the annual inspection by JIF is next Thursday, the 2nd, and just under the gun, one of the major improvements we need to make is the change of the drainage at the firehouse. Happy to say we awarded that job to Conquest, and that's being done on Monday, finishing up on Tuesday. So not like the last minute, that project will also be completed. As we discussed tonight, the Crescent Place project, which we all been working diligently on for a number of years, we awarded to DS Myers, who had done paving last year for us on some of the commercial streets. Very happy with them right out of Waldwick. And that project I spoke to the owner today. He assured me that the job will be done actually before Thanksgiving. So that'll be taking care of that end of it. And tomorrow I'll be dealing with Z Plus on the firehouse ADA bathroom project, which was being paid for to a DOT grant, community development grant from Bergen County, but it's a HUD project and they changed their requirements, so we must do prevailing wage. So the specification is a little more difficult. I spoke to Linda today. As soon as I get the package from Z Plus, we will be getting dates that we can put the bid out properly. So that's just moving along very nicely, and that's it. Thank you.
That's it.
Enough.
Chief of Police, Mike Dillon, do you have a report for us?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So improving traffic signage in town, including Park Avenue one-way in downtown. Working with department heads to update the borough's emergency operations plan. And I met with Orange and Rockland today to discuss winter response plans and to keep up positive relations with this critical utility provider.
Nicely said. Our Borough Attorney, Mr. Ray West.
Thank you, Mayor. A lot of project stuff in the last 2 weeks. Non-project stuff, working with Ron on some land use and personnel matters, some ordinances both on tonight's agenda and some things that are contemplated for November, November 9th being our next meeting. We also have been working on the contract for 210, getting the number right now, not 220. The sewer agreement with Ramsey is ongoing. Veolia, the easements are really the thing that remains ahead of us little by little. And probably, and I think I mentioned this before, the biggest issue there is working out some things with Green Acres, really a historic dimension that have to be remedied, and Green Acres needs to approve them before we can complete that phase. But it's an important phase for us because the escrow agreement with Veolia has a fair chunk of money coming to the borough once we can clean up things with Green Acres. So last week we did engage the Green Acres appraiser. He told us about 30 days for him to complete his work. We'll get the valuation. Then we probably will have to do a little bit of negotiating with Green Acres as to whether this is going to be a land exchange or a cash exchange or a hybrid exchange. But that's all ahead of us and probably will be between now and the end of the year. Ron did mention working with him on the bid specs for snow removal. With the clerk's office, there was a rather large Oprah matter that requires redaction. So I guess my office was sitting down trying to figure out what had to be taken out. And the nature of that request is that one of the unsuccessful bidders had requested the full packages of all of the bidders. So whether that's a form of business development, somebody trying to figure out what other people are doing, or what the purpose is, it hasn't come associated with any bid challenge or anything. But you can guess now we've had to put together and look through all of the bid packages by all the bidders on the project, which is a yeoman's task, not only for us, but for the clerk's office. So not easy. And I think the only other matter is working on some employment contracts and employee matters. That's it.
Excellent. Thank you. And I'll just give my mayor's report real quickly. HR, there's a lot going on in our HR committee. I actually sent out my first mayor's internal memo
Menu, what are you cooking?
to all borough employees, announcing some of the organizational design changes that we will be doing in Borough Hall. Also announcing that Ron Kistner will be retiring and that Allison Altano will actually take his place. And thanks so much, Ron, for all the work that you're doing now to leave the borough in a better place. We're not saying goodbye yet. So there's still a couple more months, and I think the transition is going to be very, very smooth. Allison has already hit the ground running, and we've talked to everybody personally at Borough Hall. So thanks so much to the HR committee, Suzanne Levisolo and Liz Homan. It's all change is good. So this is going to be an exciting time for the borough. 230 space. Part of our negotiations with Hampshire is that we retained about 3,500 square feet of storage space. And in cleaning up a lot of our old files, we're going to be using that storage space. So I do want to thank Councilwoman Lovasola for her personal tours of that over the past week. So most of the borough has already seen the space. The rest of the borough, I think, is scheduled for the next week or so. But it's going to make a big difference. Our space here is quite tight, and with all of our files, having that space is going to really be able to just clear out the space and make it a better place to work for everybody. As Ray mentioned, we have our new contractor for 210. I mentioned it at our last meeting as well. They are actually going to be starting very, very soon, and they're anticipated to end around June. So we can have potentially a community center by the summer of next year, which is amazing. So we will be starting to talk to some of the public. We're going to get a committee together and just talk about how we're going to use the space, as well as talk to Borough Hall, how we're going to manage that. So we have our downtown mural has been in pretty poor shape for the past couple of years. So we will be starting up a committee to actually refurbish that. So I have been talking behind the scenes with a sculptor and another person who is very big in the art world. And we're ready to kind of make a presentation to the public soon, and then we'll be forming committees, so it'll be a really exciting time where the community will be involved and the school will be involved, so it'll be wonderful. And happy birthday to Councilwoman Suzanne a day early.
Thank
Yay. All right.
Good to be 27.
And that is it for my report. Is there any unfinished business? Any new business? Now I'd like to open up the comments to the public on any matter. So come on up. You've been waiting.
You've been very patient. It is, and it's
Right?
good to have
Sure.
people.
We were doing a concession stand at Crestwood. That's
Yeah.
great. I can use it.
Yeah.
State your name and your address.
Okay, yeah. So my name is Blake Giannis, and I live at 66 Arcadia Road.
Yes, I recognize your
I was
name.
going to say, as soon as I say the name and address, some people in the room probably know why I'm here. So I could give a summary, and I don't know how detailed we get in this environment, but I could certainly give more.
All right, well, you actually
information.
have, there's a 3-minute limit. I do know your issue, but if you want
Okay.
to give an overview
So-
for the rest of the council.
Sure,
yeah.
sure. So I'm here regarding a water drainage issue on Arcadia Road that continues to impact our homes specifically.
Mhm.
And quite frankly, it's become really a quality of life issue. It's an issue I've been reaching out to for roughly the last 10 months, and we haven't really gotten anywhere yet with a meaningful response. During that time, I've reached out to, various individuals, offered to provide additional information. A few times I've sent through some videos and pictures of what happens with the stormwater that comes down the street and ultimately pours into our driveway. That wasn't really, we weren't really getting anywhere with that. So a few people in town actually suggested that I attend one of these meetings, bring it up, as public comment. And then, I have a chronology I can provide. I know I have 3 minutes, but like I said, I can provide a lot of additional information. It's more of it's a quality of life issue. It's a safety issue at this point when we're seeing these storms as regularly as we are now. We have to go outside and clear drains to try to avoid the water getting into our driveway. And we've been outside where it's been windy. There's been, limbs that we're worried about coming down. It's more so, concerned about lightning. So there's that whole life safety issue. And then it's just a personal appeal about having to go outside and worry about the house getting flooded every time it rains. It doesn't even take a lot of rain to get the flow of water that comes down the street to rush into our driveway. And unfortunately, I think it's where we sit on the street. There's not really any drainage up street from us. There's one drain that Ron was involved in putting in a few years ago, which we greatly appreciated. We thought that would fix it, and it hasn't, because it's just still too much water inundation coming down the street. Most recently, just this week, I did receive that letter from Mike Dillon.
Oh, okay.
And it basically just said, your email request to install additional drainage along Arcadia Road was discussed during a recent land use committee meeting. Currently, the borough does not have plans to install additional drainage along Arcadia Road. So that really didn't get us anywhere. That's why I've been reaching out for the last 10 months, because we know there was no plan to do it. We're appealing to the town to give it another look, to give it additional consideration. As I said, I'm happy to provide. Sadly, every time it rains, even remotely, with some accumulation, I have new footage of how bad it is.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the fall, it's even worse because there's more debris that stops up any kind of drainage that exists on Arcadia Road.
Is your house the only house that it happens to on Arcadia?
It seems like it's a running joke actually around the town. They're like, "Is it raining hard?" Because Blake's outside in his raincoat trying to deal with it. And I've even built, a plexiglass wall to try to avoid the water getting into the
That was
into
going to
the
be my
driveway.
next question. Did you try that?
But you have to be there to do it. So we've had times where we've been away and nobody's there it requires active, intervention on our part. We have no automatic way to address it, unfortunately.
You have a drain at the base of your driveway, and then the way the road is pitched, it kind of both sides tend to come down towards you.
It comes down from up the street from us towards Franklin Turnpike.
Okay.
We have one, drainage inlet in the street
Yeah.
right in front of our house. And then in our actual driveway, we even have drains installed to combat the water that comes in. But unfortunately, it's not enough. They get overwhelmed, especially if there's any kind of debris that comes in from the street, which unfortunately, since there's no drains up the street from us, all the debris gets washed down the curb line and hits the drain and pretty much renders the drain in front of our house, useless. So the water goes around that. And even when that drain is open completely without debris, you can see from the videos that I do have, the span of the water flow that comes through is wider than that drain. So the water goes right around the actual public drain and comes into the driveway.
All right, I'd like to, talk to our engineer, Mike Reland, and see if maybe him and our director of operations might want to go out again and just take another look at it. I will say some of the issues have to, we can't fix all, the borough is not responsible for, drainage necessarily on people's properties. So if this is something, sometimes there's other things that people have to do. I've had to do my own drainage remediation on my own property because I too live like on the bottom of the street.
Mm-hmm.
So I will offer that he can come out again and look, and I'll even take a peek myself, to see, what, but I just don't want to make any promises.
No, I understand
Yeah.
that. And that's just why, like I said, I could share anything that you guys want to see.
Okay.
Because when you're there, you probably won't be there in a storm. And I don't even say, it doesn't even have to be a storm. Unfortunately, it doesn't take
Well,
much.
I've gone out in the rain before to check the
build-
drainage and take
Yeah,
pictures.
but the
before,
videos,
so-
the videos will show you, and
Yeah.
we've tried to deal with it ourselves.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah, okay.
I wasn't here, this has been going on. We've lived in Allendale for 10 years. I usually, I'm not a complainer. I don't come in unless we've kind of reached our last resort.
Mhm.
And this unfortunately is a last resort
Yeah.
Water is
situation.
a problem. I mean, there's just it's all the building that's around everywhere too. It's like there just is, and it's hard. There's too much impervious coverage everywhere.
Yeah, we've had I've paid to have some experts come out and look at the street, give us ideas, what could we even do? And they said, unfortunately, this is the town water coming down the street. You can't control that, how much water flow is coming down. They can, and you don't have the drainage to combat the amount of water that comes down the public water that's coming down the street. You don't have the drainage in your own driveway to combat that. That requires the public level inlets that can handle that kind of volume. So that's why, we're at this point.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for your consideration.
Okay. Anybody else from the public want to speak? Oh, boy, Walter. Come on up, Walter.
Walter Woodmer, 30th Hamilton. I got a lot of questions. One, young lady mentioned cats.
Cats?
Yeah,
Cat
do they have to
license.
be
Cat license.
registered?
Yes. Yes, they do.
They do. I didn't know that.
Uh-oh, we're gonna send you a fine. I'm just kidding. We
Mike.
won't do that.
Yeah. He's taking notes.
Yeah, please
And if I don't,
tap him.
and if I don't,
I
there
don't,
is-
police officer here,
I
as a
don't-
witness, he's gonna,
La 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 la.
No, it's a borough ordinance.
you could,
Fine.
really?
Yeah, have a tax.
Don't answer
Say
that.
no. Walter, please the fifth.
That's true.
He is, so they got lots of
Since my
voting
wife
accidents.
left me, I got 2 cats. I got another question with this young lady. She mentioned, best practice inventory checklist.
Yeah.
What on earth is that?
It is a very long questionnaire that's required by the CPA, making sure we're in compliance with certain statutes that they imply, to make sure we're following the law in a nutshell.
And who approves that
Approved
or accepts it or whatever?
DCA,
CPA.
state.
Who are they?
Department of Community Affairs.
they're part of the state. It's another unfunded state mandate.
So what they
Say that
did,
public.
Walter, is they morphed it from questions that had no implications to tying your state aid to the responses.
Oh,
So it's a way of forcing municipalities to comply with the law. And as
interesting.
was mentioned, if you don't reach a certain threshold of compliance, they can hold back money.
Do we do this every year?
We do,
Yeah,
we do.
I don't, I've been here a couple of years, I remember it, but that doesn't matter. I got another question about bamboo. What do you do with the guy who's got bamboo?
Walter, how much bamboo do you have?
No, seriously. I was driving around the
Yeah,
other
would you like to
day.
answer that?
Yeah, so the new ordinance kind of dictates if you have existing bamboo, how it gets maintained. If it's really the restriction of planting new bamboo, because bamboo kind of spreads and once it goes, you can't get rid of it. if you want to plant bamboo, there's actually language in the ordinance where it has to be potted so it can't grow and stand up, but there is language in there about existing bamboo and mitigating it and controlling it. So if it's here, it's here, but we don't want to put new bamboo,
Yeah,
pretty much.
be interesting how that works out. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Walter.
Thanks, Walter.
Get a license for those cats.
You can pay for it online now.
Yeah.
Soon Apple Pay with your watch.
Okay. Anybody else from the public wish to speak on any matter? Not seeing anyone. Motion to adjourn.
Some of
All in favor? Aye. Thank you, everybody.